It's like with painters, they say the painting part was easy.
Oh, that's right. You did a good job. Congratulations. Right. Yeah, Sam will take care of you. Good. Yeah.
I know, mine is totally point. Hey, Laura. Yeah.
You see, we're going October 15th.
Yes. What can I do to help you about that? Posters, anything?
Yeah.
Want me to help you with that? That's a good day.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot. That's a private.
Previously, it was highlighting things, right?
Okay.
Anything beyond that in the work?
Nothing nailed down yet.
Yeah,
no, there's nothing.
I just kind of
Yeah.
Evan's gonna want to be close to him.
But you're reading
Is it more time consuming with the ice cream or the wine?
Well, the good thing about the ice cream is you make it, it's ready.
Thank you, frozen ready. Oh, by the way, here it's like something situations that are.
Yeah, no, it takes. Well, the same thing with ice cream all the time, just to yeah, there's one.
Thank you for having me.
No, my pleasure.
One of the best repertoires I've ever had.
Okay, you guys ready? Everybody got a station to elbow their way in there? Okay. Sorry? Good?
We got a spot over here.
Yeah, we got some spots down here.
And we have a spot down here. There's one.
There's one on the end here.
Here's
too.
one down here.
I
said 20 minutes by now.
You need a hand? You want me to bring the others?
Right.
Because I'm looking at them upside down.
Yeah.
All right, everybody ready to go? Sure. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to be sampling 4 wines. Actually, this is more a wine flight that you have than it is a tasting. Typically on a tasting, they do 1 ounce pours. These are 2. So this is typically more like what you would get in what we call a wine flight. It's a little different than on the original invitation you might have seen. I substituted the Trek Malbec for the 2019 Carmel Valley cab, only because we don't make we make cabs here, but we didn't make that one. So I thought it would really make more sense, and the Trek actually is a little drier than that one. So I thought it would make more sense for everybody to sample stuff that we'll have here on an ongoing basis, because that's kind of a one-off thing. Just a little more information on the year, though, the 2019. You will never see, as I told you in there, we use fanciful names, so our wines will always have a name, Big Daddy Red or Trek, or we can tell you what it is, but it won't say on the label what it is. But if you see a vintage on there, that means we didn't make it either. If you see a year, if it says 2019, what that actually means is that's the year all of the grapes were harvested in that model. So that's the other reason you won't see a lot of wines with a year on them, a vintage on them, because you have to know that every grape in that model, in that whole batch, was harvested in that year. So that's the year, not necessarily the year that the wine was made, but that's the year the grapes were harvested. Okay, so what we're going to start with, here are the things to sort of look for in sampling wine. You look first for the nose, what we call the nose or the bouquet. It's actually, nose and bouquet are actually a couple of different things, but the bouquet is really when you take the wine. We'll start with the Vino da Vinci. We're going to do the sangria last because you always want to do the sweetest wines last. You want to go from the lightest to the driest, but then sweetest will come last. Everybody's got a cup of water there if you want to cleanse your palate a little bit between these. But basically, what you want to do, I like to keep. You want to have a lot of room. You want to have first a good glass that's bell-shaped that actually will sort of funnel the aroma of the wine up to your nose. And I like to swirl the wine for a couple of reasons like this. And I tend to like to do it on the table like this. And you're looking for a couple of things. One, you're releasing the bouquet of the wine so you can smell the wine better. And two, when you hold it up, you can see and you won't see it as much with the whites as with the reds. But you'll see what they call legs. They call it legs or tears. It's gives Margoni effect is what it is, but it's basically the surface tension of the glass and the alcohol pushing against each other and evaporation. Basically, if you see what they call legs, if you see legs on the side of the glass, you'll see it more with the reds than the whites. That's essentially because they're lower in alcohol content. That's basically alcohol you're seeing. So the higher alcohol content wines are going to have wines are going to range from your sangrias are going to be 3 or 4%. They're almost like a beer as far as alcohol content. Your whites are going to range anywhere from say 7% to about 14% for some of the drier white whites, because white wines can be very dry too. And then most of your reds are going to be in that kind of 13-14% range of alcohol. But what you want to do is swirl it a little bit and then tip the glass like this. So that's why you want the pour to be down here at the bottom of the bell, so you can release the aroma of the wine. You can see the legs a little bit at the top. You can see the wine running down, and then you want to sniff. You want to sniff the wine, take in all the aromas of the wine, and then you're good to go to taste. And you want to typically you want to taste, when you're tasting a wine, you want to take 3 sips. The first sip typically is, he killed his, he can't. But what you want to do, your first sip is going to be mainly to cleanse your palate and get your palate ready. The second is to kind of to get your taste buds oriented to the wine, and the third sip is when you're really good. There's about 3 sips in an ounce. So, well, for some people. But that's like the old Tootsie Pop commercial back in the day. How many licks are 3? But the last one is where you're really going to get your appreciation for the wine. Now this wine, this is an Italian Pinot Grigio. The Pinot Grigio grape is grown mostly in Europe. It's France. This is an Italian one. It's going to be a lighter wine. It's going to be not as sweet as like a Chard, certainly not as sweet as like a Moscato or Riesling or some of the German wines. It's going to be a little bit drier, not as sweet. It's going to be a lighter white wine, good for summer, good for fish, anything light like that. So and you're going to be looking for in the aroma, you're going to be looking for things like the acidity in the wine. That's the citrus. That's kind of the citrus taste you're getting. That's the acid in the wine. The whites are going to be more acidic than the reds. I mean, basically what wine is trying to do, and you're trying to keep it from doing, is turn into vinegar. Because that's what it'll be. You know, if it spoils, it's basically, there's the good thing about making wine is there's nothing you could really do that's going to hurt anybody. I mean, the alcohol kind of kills everything, and the worst thing that happens is it tastes bad. But that's what it's trying to do over time. It's trying to turn into vinegar. If you just leave it alone, put it in a glass, you leave it alone, you're going to end up with vinegar, essentially. This was actually the first white wine that I ever made, this batch. And I think on your sheet here, you know, basically what you're looking for is the acidity of the wine. And you're also going to smell and taste the alcohol. That's kind of the warmth that you feel on your tongue and in your nose. The warmth is the alcohol itself. This is a fairly high alcohol content white wine. You're not going to get a lot of tannins. You hear a lot of talk about tannins in wines. That comes from the skins, and white wines don't have much contact with the skins. You crush them, you get the skins out of there. That's, you know, because white wine grapes are not white. I mean, Pinot Gris grapes are red, but they crush them. They pull the skins out right away. That's how you get red wines. Rosés, they'll leave the skins in there just for a couple hours, and they'll pull them out of there. So and most of the tannins in grapes are in the skin. There's some in what they call the pips. The pips are the seeds. They'll have two little seeds in them. They call them pips. They have a little bit of tannin in them as well. Tannin's not bad at all for in wines. In fact, you need it. But that's going to be reds, and that's the bitter taste that you're going to taste is tannin in wine. And then, I mean, the last thing you might pick up will be a wood, kind of a woody taste, and that's if they're oaked. Because you can put, sometimes when we're fermenting wines, we'll put wood chips in there. We put them in these muslin bags and put them in there or we have oak barrels here. I have not yet finished any wines in oak barrels, but we can do that. These are single-use bourbon barrels, and I have some but we're going to try to finish some reds in. And Chardonnays too will oftentimes be oaked, but we have a process for doing that. We don't right now have an oaked Chardonnay. They're not hugely popular, but that's the kind of the last. And most of the one that you might have sampled before, Luna Bianca. That's a more buttery Chardonnay. To me, that's more of a buttery flavor. So if you want, we can go on to the next one. This will be the Big Daddy Red is next. Now this is a blend of several grapes. This is our most popular red wine. It's also, we are the 19th franchise on the Water's Edge system. This is a wine that's unique to Water's Edge. We make this is a blended wine. It's really one of the only blended. There are several wines we make where we actually blend the grapes before fermentation and do it together. This is one of the only blended wines where we make two different wines and we put them together into one wine. So this is actually a blend of a Diablo Rojo, which is a Chilean wine. It's a Chilean grape. It's a sweeter red. It's not a real sweet red, but it's a little sweeter red. This is the sweetest red we have. But we add a little old vine Lodi Zinfandel. We put a red Zin grape in. It's got a little bit. It's about 85% of the Diablo Rojo and about 15% of an old vine Zin to kind of make it not quite so sweet. It is not only our most popular red, but in every single one of our franchisees. Well, like I said, we're number 19 or like 21 of them so out there now. Every single one of them is the best-selling red among them. It's not the best-selling wine. In most of them, it's the best-selling wine. Here it's sangria. But in the Midwest, generally, it's sangria. But same thing. You're going to swirl this one, and you'll get more fruit flavors. the fruit aromas. I mean, you can really smell the fruit in this. Like blackberry is what you're going to get the most of. And I don't understand. You know, when we went through training out there, and they were telling us you can smell blackberry, you can smell pear, you can smell. I'm like, the only thing in there is grapes. But still, you can pick that up. I mean, it smells like blackberry. Like our blackberry sangrias and stuff, they're made from blackberries. You can actually ferment wine from any grape, or I'm sorry, from any fruit. Anything that's got sugar in it, you can make into wine. Anything you put yeast in there, it's gonna start fermenting. But this one's gonna be a little bit sweeter. But this is another wine that, as I said, when we make it, it takes about 7 weeks to make it, but this has to sit in the bottle for about 4 months before we bring it out, because it's going to get smoother over time. It's not going to get sweeter, but it's going to get smoother over time. If you drink it right out of the tank, which I may have done, it's going to taste very different than it's going to taste 4 months later when it comes out of the bottle. It's going to be a lot smoother. Research. Well, it's all research. It's all for science. It's all for science. And one thing I do is I did the same thing when I made ice cream. That's coming ice cream. I do the same thing. I taste every batch. You know, and I don't love every. You know, I mean, one thing about being in this business, I was a pretty straight ahead dry red wine drinker, and you really maintain, you really kind of grow an appreciation for what, you know, the difference in the wines, but the different environments that you enjoy wines. You know, the sangrias are great on a warm Sunday afternoon when you have some acoustic music going up there. They're great, and they're very low in alcohol. So I mean, you have to drink more. You can sit there and drink it all day. That's one thing with the sangrias. You see everybody walk out here. You know, they'll come in and order a red. They'll walk out with a glass. They order a sangria. They'll walk out with a bottle. I'll be over there. Come check with me in a few minutes. But this is actually, I don't know, this is everybody's.
Big Daddy Red, it may not be what they prefer because they want something really dry, but I've never had anyone tell me they did not like Big Daddy Red. Everyone always likes it.
And you know, I like the dry reds, and we have a number of people here who like the dry reds. They're not hugely popular. You know, I talked to before I got into this, I talked to a couple of the wineries locally here, and I'm like, you know, your wines they're good, but they're so sweet. He's like, you know, we can make dry wines, we can't sell them. We can't sell them, but we actually have done fairly well with them.
Are you serving that chilled and room temperature, or how are you?
No, not like Leo's.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, Leo's does that. Yeah, no, you get your red wines at room temperature here, and the whites and sangrias are sort of chilled. But we have had people that'll ask for ice cubes for it. Yeah. And they're not bad chilled at all. Actually,
Tony chills everything.
I know. Actually the proper way to serve them, what they told us was with the white wines you want and the sangrias, you want to keep those chilled. You want to keep those in the fridge, but you should take them out about half hour before you serve them. And with the reds, they actually recommend that you store them. You know, you don't want to store them at 90 degrees. You want to store them at 70 or room temperature or below. But they actually advise us to put them in the fridge for about a half hour before serving them. Because ideally they're going to be served at like 52, 50, you know, something like that. So we don't actually. I mean, we serve all our reds at room temperature. But Big Daddy is one that the sweeter the wine, the more chilling would be good for it. So, but this is a blend, I said, of a Diablo Rojo, a Chilean wine, and a California Zinfandel. It's got a little bit of that in it. It's about 85–15%. We can move on now if you want to the Trek, which actually is one of my favorites here. This is a drier wine. It's not our driest wine. We have some reds in. Yeah, it might be a good idea to take a little hit of the water right now. This is going to be a much drier wine. But it's not our. I mean, we've got some stuff in tanks right now that's bone dry, and I've got some rosés that are very dry right now. And I enjoy a dry wine. Now, the dry is basically the opposite of sweet. It's kind of hard to describe what dry is, but that's basically the tannins that work. and you'll be able to tell the difference, but it's essentially the opposite of sweet. And I guess there is no word for the opposite. It's not sour, it's not the opposite of sweet. So, but this is one that when you swirl like this, up the sides of the glass, you're going to see more of the legs, the alcohol coming together, because it's a higher alcohol content. This is the reds. Those are the wines where I really enjoy the bouquet, taking it. And when you're smelling the bouquet, you should take short sniffs instead of like a great big sniff. Shorter sniffs. But this is a drier wine. This is a Malbec. It's a Chilean or an Argentine Malbec, and everybody identifies Malbec with Argentina. And Argentina makes some great wines, but it's not the only place they grow Malbec grape. They actually started in France, but you never see a French Malbec. They grow them over there, but they use the grapes for other varieties of wine. But it actually originated in France, and they transplanted it to Argentina. They actually didn't. They thought it was an Argentine grape, and then some chemists figured out that it's actually derived from the Malbec that's grown in France. But Malbec, that's a wine that I don't think you can ever really go very far wrong with. A Malbec, if I go somewhere and I don't see anything that I'm crazy about on their wine list, I'll go for the Malbec, because it's a solid wine. I've never had a really bad one. I've had some bad cabs, I've had some, but you never really go too far wrong. Pinot Noirs are all over the place. Our first Pinot Noir I poured out, because it's a very temperamental grape. They're hard to work with. I mean, when they're good, they're great. But they're and we've got one now that I like a lot, but it's a darker one, it's a heavier one. And we've got some GSM blends coming out that are bone dry. They're going to be really good if you like dry wine. But this is an Argentine. It's not a real heavy one at all. I really like it. It's one of my favorites. All right, if you want to move on to the sweetest wine, this stuff flies out of here when I've got it. But you might want to take a drink of water before this one. We'll move on to the sangria. Now this one, the raspberry peach sangria. This is I'd say by far our most popular one. We have some other sangrias though that are in the works that I think may give this one a run for its money. But the sangrias here, there's a couple of different ways to make sangria. You're seeing more and more of sangrias that are made in bottles like this, as opposed to the old way of making sangria, which is take a red wine and a little bit of 7-Up or something, a little brandy or bourbon, or something in there, and throw fruit in there and mix it all up and let it sit. I really enjoy that. And I wasn't sold on, I've never been sold on sangrias out of a bottle like this. They're basically fruit. They're different fruit, other fruits than grapes. And we have raspberry peach. We have a blackberry in tanks now. We've had it. It's sold out real fast. We make a white cranberry. We've got some peach apricot. We've got all kinds of flavors coming out. The thing that I think sets ours apart, I've had a lot of the sangrias in bottles, particularly around here, that almost to me it tastes like cough syrup. I mean, they're very syrupy. Ours are very light, and ours are not sickeningly sweet. I don't like them terribly sweet, and I think you'll enjoy this one. But these are low alcohol content wines. They're anywhere from 3 to 7%. You don't do a lot of swirling stuff with these because they don't have a lot of alcohol. I mean, they're mostly fruit juice, but they're good.
It goes down easy.
Yes, it does. But it's got some alcohol in it. Yeah, you don't want to leave that one laying out, no.
How long will it take for your blender to finish up?
It's done. I'm going to put bottles.
It's really clear. Okay.
Actually, we bottled a case of it for the Oktoberfest week before last, and it disappeared. And we put raspberry peach out there. They like this blackberry better.
You had a glass of water.
They did?
Water's edge, yeah.
Yeah, they had the blackberry out there. They only had one case of it. It went away right away.
How long do you think it'll last before?
One of those, that'll make, one of those 50 gallons will make, and then I didn't get quite 50 out of that. A 50 gallon will make 20 cases of wine. I'll go through 3 cases of it a day. On a busy day.
Yeah.
But they'll be gone. I hope that they last me until the next batch. But I'll go through Raspberry Peach, I'll go through 3 cases every Saturday and Sunday. Yeah, that's the.
All of these are ones that use that.
All of those are right here. And all those are wines we're always going to have. Because we won't continue. We make about 30 varietals.
I know, it's beautiful.
Okay, question is, which wine is the best solution for the health benefits? Do you agree or disagree with Pinot Noir is the best for heart benefits?
I think any red wine is going to be better for the heart benefits because it's the tannins in the red wine. Not to excess, but if you go with a 1 or 2 glasses a day, that's as far as I can tell is good for your heart. But Pinot Noirs are a good choice. But I think any red wine. But that's the important part. It doesn't have to be a red wine, but you get the health benefits from the red wines. And a Pinot Noir is considered a red wine, although it's in a white wine bottle. It's because it comes in the Burgundy bottle. It's a red wine.
Might you decide which of the wines that you don't bottle to carry?
We have a lot of things available to us that I don't make, and I have some wines that I brought in from California that I want to try. I mean, the problem with it is it's and I'm a real estate family. It's kind of the problem you got as a realtor. The people who want to see every single house in town for sale. It's the same thing if you have too many varieties. And it's not as bad like in the ice cream business when the Baskin Robbins started carrying 32 flavors. I want to try that one, that one, that one. And it slows you up so much at the tasting line. Somebody wants to try every single one. So I tend to stick with the stuff that moves here. I have some stuff back there I'm going to try that I'm going to bring out. We're going to be serving food before too long here. That I'm going to bring out with food. That I think that they're probably not wines that people are just going to come out on Sunday afternoon and drink and watch music. But I've got some Sangiomise, I've got some really good stuff back there, some Alvarinhos, that I'm going to bring out to pair with food. We're going to start our wine club soon, so that's stuff that'll be sent out for our wine club members to enjoy at home when they prepare a meal. So and we'll start doing that when we got food. But right now we're kind of sticking with a Cab, a Malbec, a Chard, Pinot Noir, Pinot Gris, and but still that's a lot. That's a lot. And then everybody walks up and says, "I want raspberry pizza." Sangria. You still get everybody that wants that. What sangrias do you have? We're going to have pineapple pear, we got green apple.
The Trek. And the Trek is really, really good. These are really good ones.
Thank you.
I worked in my diet for no
Well, that was the whole key to me. Was, when these guys approached me, I was like, "Look, I want to taste your wine before we."
I like those. I'm like, okay, here.
And then I got to figure. I had to be convinced that you can teach me to make it. It's not. It can't be. When you make it, it's good. When I take it, go back. You make it in Illinois, that tastes the same. But it's.
I can pitch it for you.
That's not really what I'm looking for, Yeah, that I want.
We got a good Pinot.
It might have got hurt. So.
But it's a dark one. Yeah, it's a dark one. That I'm used to. I like your Oregon Pinot Noirs are going to be a little lighter. Yeah. And they're good.
And Washington State.
And Washington State. Yeah, I've got a Washington State we're going to start with. I'm going to try that. Because I want a lighter one too. But they're tough. Those Pinot Noirs are tough. And I won't, if I don't like it, I won't put it out there. I just put it out there. I won't put it out there if I can't.
Well, I was interpreting for Catholic Constitution restaurants, probably I had, yeah,
We have a liquor license, we do have wine.
we had education at it. I think that's where I developed my palate for wine there. And then I lived in Oregon for 20 years, so.
We're gonna get him over here and get him up on the stage. He played Decatur a few weeks ago. His band. He's got a good band.
Someone wants to know what the hours are for the weekend of homecoming.
We'll be open Friday and Saturday 3 to probably 11.
Okay.
And then Sunday we're open 1 to 7 at least.
And I think we're done with online questions if you want to wrap up the online portion.
All right, well, wrap it up at the line. Anybody have any more questions here? So we're all set.
No, they're really, really good. Yeah. Do you want honey food? Well, we're working on getting that part of things going. Like everyone else, you know, how some of them are really good. Okay, now that's some safe. Now, the safe spots are really good.
I can track more. Actually,
I know.
we're just short. It's a brand. But I like
Well, it's exactly the same concept as the herb hot mix. There's an old, right where the cigarette.
But that's the
place is now. There's a little tiny hot shack. And you can
basically what I do.
Chicago style, New York style, all these fancy styles. If you wanted to ketchup on it, you'd yell back.